Hi, my name's Dave Goulson and I'm here to tell you about the life cycle of the bumblebee. So it's the 2nd of November today. It's pretty cold and windy and horrible and the bumblebees have all gone for the year. But with luck, in a few months' time, in about February or March, if we get a sunny day, we'll see great big queen bumblebees coming up out of the ground and desperately looking for something to eat because they're starving hungry. They've been asleep for 7 or 8 months. And they'll head straight for the nearest willow tree for the catkins to get some nectar. After they've done that, you'll then see them looking for somewhere to nest, and you'll see these bees flying backwards and forwards very slowly above the ground. You see them above lawns, meadows and so on, and they're looking for a hole. If they see a hole, they'll go down it. Often they come back out in a few minutes disappointed, but what they're hoping to find out there is a nice cosy, dry, dark, safe cavity with bedding material in it from an old mouse nest, rabbit nest or whatever. They need that for insulation. They can't gather their own insulation, so they need to find an old abandoned nest. If they find one, they'll gather a little ball of pollen, cover it in wax, lay about 16 eggs in it, and then they'll sit on it. They squash their tummy just like a bird. They squash their tummy against the brood and they shiver to keep warm, to generate heat. And they try to keep their brood at about 30 degrees centigrade, which is only a little bit cooler than our own body temperature. If they succeed, then in a month's time they have young worker adults. It takes about a month from egg to bee. And they are all daughters, they're all sisters of one another, and they're much smaller in most species than the queen. And within a couple of days of being born, they take over all the foraging duties. They're going out, flying around looking for food and bringing it back. So the queen never leaves the nest again, and it's almost as if the bees are shrinking because these great big queens disappear, but they're replaced by much smaller daughters that look the same but just half the size. And once they've got this extra, the workers, the nest can grow quite quickly because there's more food coming in. And the queen lays successive batches of eggs, all of which develop as workers. And through to about June or July, the nest grows, and it can grow to have 200-300 workers if all's gone well, which is still, I should say, an awful lot smaller than a honeybee hive, which may have 40 or 50,000 workers. Anyway, the bumblebee nest grows and grows, with all these sisters looking after their mother. You could say it's a bit like a nunnery. This huge group of sisters all looking after the mother superior, the queen, their mum. But something has to give, because eventually the nest has to reproduce. It has to produce males and new queens. And in about July, the queen starts laying male eggs and the workers start rearing any female eggs as new queens. And a few weeks later, those become adults and they take off. They mate quite soon. The females, the new queens, they'll only mate once in their life. The males, all they do is mate, if they can, and they sit around on flowers. They don't forage for the nest or anything like that. Their sole job in life is to find a new queen and mate with her if they can. It's kind of sad because actually there's about 7 times as many males born as there are new queens, and the new queens only ever mate once, so 6 out of 7 males never achieve their sole purpose in life, which is kind of tragic. Anyway, the new queens, as soon as they've mated, they'll burrow into the ground. It may be as early as July. They burrow down a few inches, make themselves a little pocket in the soil, little air pocket, and they'll sit there right through to the following spring. The old nest dies off, the old queen dies off, there are no more workers being produced, so eventually they all die, the males die, and that's it for the year. The old nest fizzles out. Eventually it gets dismembered by woodlice and earwigs and things that scavenge all the wax and so on, and pretty soon there's nothing left at all apart from those young queens sitting underground, which is where we are right now. If you'd like to know more about bumblebees, you should read a copy of my book, A Sting in the Tail. Thank you very much for listening.